Michael Penix Jr. had a Joe Burrow type of performance in leading Washington to a 6-point win over Texas. Now, the Huskies defense, not known for being very good, but they did make a last-second stand, last-chance saloon for the Longhorns, and they came up just a wee bit short. But in the end, Michael Penix Jr., 430 yards passing, just amazing performance, completed almost 77% of his passes. Again, it's not a great Texas defense, but still, it's like the choke factor, the choking dog factor in a big game like this. Pretty good for a guy who's a sixth-year quarterback with not one but two surgically repaired knees. So the second-ranked Huskies at 14-0 will face the also unbeaten Michigan Wolverines at number 1. That'll be coming up next Monday, this coming Monday now, in Houston. Tickets are not available. But Washington trying to get their first national championship since way back in the Stone Age of 1991, before social media. People were still watching stuff on VHS tapes in 1991. And the Pac-12 has not had a champion in 20 years since the SC Trojans got it done in 2004. And now the Pac-12, for all intents purposes, going away. So let us discuss the question. We'll start with the winning side. We'll get to the losing side where the better story is, but we'll start on the winning side. What did you make of Michael Penix Jr. and his performance on the big stage? So I've got Beethoven, barbershop, and lottery ticket. And we will combine all of these things together. All right, all of these things together, and we are going to make tears of joy. Because that's what a lot of people in the Pacific Northwest have. Although they haven't won, they have a chance to win still. All right, so number one. Yeah. Number one. All right, come down. This was an oil painting. Michael Penix Jr., in many ways, climbing the ladder. Now, everyone's like, well, there's no chance this guy's going to be drafted higher than maybe the second round. The NFL draft big board is already out for the April NFL draft. And it would appear, based on the medical charts, the guy's got two surgically repaired knees. He's not a young quarterback. He's had 6 years of college experience, that he's pretty much destined to be drafted in the second or the third round at best. But this is the island life. When you're living the island life, things can change. Washington football, even though they are in the national championship game now, they are not the team that is talked about every Saturday morning on the pregame shows. This was the island game, and he put on a show. Penix Jr. had the razzle-dazzle. He was Beethoven composing a symphony in this game. Brilliant performance, and we have seen guys get drafted higher than they should because of a game on an island. All it takes is some NFL owner to get smitten and say, that's the guy that I want. That's the guy. And Penix Jr., he put on a show. He did a pirouette on the catwalk, and he is pigeonholed to go in the second, third, or fourth round of the draft. But he averaged 11-plus yards per attempt, did not have an interception. And it was like men versus boys out there most of that game. 130-plus passer rating for Penix Jr. You can't play better. And now he's got another opportunity against the big, bad Michigan defense, that physical Michigan defense, although Michigan hasn't faced a top-notch quarterback like Penix Jr., the way he's played in college in a while. And certainly Alabama's got an offense in the Stone Age. More on that later. Now, page 2 here. On the other side, Texas had a chance to have that dramatic moment at the end. If you saw the game late into the night, how do you assess their quarterback, Quinn Ewers, and his effort for the Longhorns? So this was a trip to the barbershop for Texas. Right? We're pretty much splitting hairs here because they were behind on the stat sheet. They were behind in the game pretty much the entire night. And yet, at the end, they end up just a wee bit short, right? Just a couple hairs short there, as Ewers had a chance to become a Texas icon. He could have been that guy that they bring back and they kiss his ass like Vince Young. Maybe they still will, but the final seconds, down by 6, given a second chance because of a fluky set of circumstances. The Washington running back got hurt. Otherwise, Texas gets the ball back with like 15 seconds on the clock. But a touchdown and an extra point would have won the game. And they had an extra chance because of the clock. They put 1 extra second on the clock at the end. And Texas unable, and yours unable to take advantage of what was a dreadful pass defense. Now, there are 133 schools ranked by the NCAA stat sheet. 133, what we consider D1, the highest level of college football. The Washington Huskies defense was 120th. P.U. What stinks? 120th in pass defense. Only 13 schools in all of the top rung of college football ranked lower. Now, there's all kinds of spin. Oh, it's not that bad. You know, it's because they were ahead in games. I mean, all this. Cry me a river. You are what the numbers say you are. 120th in pass defense. And Quinn Ewers was unable for long stretches of that game, unable to capitalize. And that Texas was behind. They did run the ball pretty well in this game. The final numbers looked respectable, but it didn't seem that way while the game was going on. 318 yards passing. Ewers ended up with 43 attempts. He averaged almost 7.5 yards per attempt. The passer rating was not that great, but head-to-head, did you outplay the guy that plays your position on the other side of the team? And if everyone outplays, or the majority of your players outplay the other team's players, you're going to win the game. And he did not outplay Penix Jr. He was the better quarterback for Washington, and head-to-head advantage to the Huskies. All right, final point. So now you take a wide-angle look here. What happens? What happens to Steve Sarkisian and the Texas Longhorns as they now crank it up a couple of notches with the shifting of the landscape in college football, and everything's going to look totally different next year in terms of the landscape and Texas heading to the Southeastern Conference? It is going to be fascinating. Now, my take, when you think of college football hot takes, you think of me. My take on this is rather simple. The Longhorns are barbecued. They are cooked. I do not expect to hear or see them in a big national championship landscape game for a number of years. Texas will be fading away into the wide blue yonder, okay? And it's the whole new era. You got the Power 2. It's Big Ten on one side, SEC on the other, and the national championship game will have Big Ten versus Big Ten this year because Washington going to the Big Ten against Michigan. But for Steve Sarkisian, instead of being in the Big 12 where you play some good teams and maybe you play one good team non-conference, you'll be playing upper crust teams roughly 85% of the time. It's a whole different animal than what Big 12 life has been like. And meanwhile, you're going to have the usual exodus of players with people skedaddling because they want to go to the NFL. Meanwhile, it's also a similar situation to the Washington Huskies and their coach, Kalen DeBoer, who came out of nowhere the last couple of years. And does Kalen DeBoer stay at Washington? They still have to play the national championship game. But if you gave me some funny money and said, can you set the odds on this? I would say it's 60-40. 60% chance he stays, 40% chance he leaves. It's a 400 hitter in baseball. And the reason why, this is his lottery ticket. It's kind of obvious. If you're a lifetime coach, nobody even knew who this guy was a couple years ago, and now he's the coach of the year. He's got his team a win away from the national championship. That is, show me the money. Yeah, that's a chance to win a massive extension. He's making a lot of money right now. It's not like Washington is not paying him. They're not giving him chump change. So DeBoer's already making a lot of money, but this is the kind of a situation where you are set up. And that Washington team, guys coming back, it's going to be a stampede out of Seattle. So you're looking at that tougher competition in the Big Ten, week in and week out, because the top teams in the Pac-12 went to the Big Ten, and then you've got the top teams already there, Ohio State, Michigan, in the Big Ten. So good luck. Good luck. Got to get paid. So if Washington pays him and gives him one of those cartoon checks, he'll stay. If not, I would not be shocked at all if he ends up going to another power school in the Southeastern Conference or somewhere else in the Big Ten. And you got to get paid while you can get that money.